Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today, I wanted to have a discussion on how powerful is Velvet's Semblance. We'll be taking a look at Velvet's Semblance, how powerful it is, what all it is capable of, and in the end, rate Velvet's Semblance upon everything we know about it to see how good it actually is in the tier system. But before we get into this video, I just want to say right now as an announcement that I am doing a once a month Q&A. So if you actually want to ask me any questions pertaining to RWBY or pertaining to anything else, it could be other anime, it could be movies, TV shows, it could be anything about myself even, whatever you would like to know, let me know by the end of the month, because these Q&As will come out at the end of each month. And I will leave a link to where you can actually leave the questions, because I actually am going to have it so it can be a lot more organized and I can actually find it a lot better. So that'll all work out, and I will answer all of your questions to the best of my abilities. So if you have any questions that you would like for me to answer, just let me know. Link will be in the description to where you can actually ask me any of these questions, and I will have the Q&A out by the end of the month. But anyways, without further ado, sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy. Let's go ahead and get started. So, looking at Team Coffee, the first team we're actually going to be having on this list of how powerful Semblance is, I am looking at Velvet, who is actually my favorite member of Team Coffee, and how powerful her Semblance actually is, considering that her Semblance was teased back in Volume 2 when Velvet was going to use it whenever the Grimm was brought into Vale, and then Coco told her not for a situation like that. Well, it led everybody to wonder, well, what could Velvet's Semblance actually be? And since we also did know that she had a camera, it really kind of led others to speculate what the possibility of her Semblance is. Considering her weapon is a camera, then you would have to think that maybe her Semblance would have to do with the camera. Besides, a camera is a interesting choice for a weapon, so that's the only thing that could really help you indicate onto what the Semblance may have actually been. And once the fall of Beacon was occurring, and then you actually see Velvet be able to use her Semblance and use the camera, well, that was actually pretty amazing. Now, before we actually get into the Semblance itself, looking at it and its capabilities, one thing I want to take a look at is the whole history behind this very Semblance, behind the camera, and how this actually works, because some people get confused with Velvet Semblance. So, Velvet Semblance is actually photographic memory, and so on the Volume 3 Director's Commentary, it was actually stated that Velvet Semblance actually allows her to mimic others' moves. So that means that with photographic memory, she is able to mimic any moves of anybody that she's seen. And Velvet then uses this in conjunction with her weapon, Anisdora. And this creates the hard-like copies of the weapons that Velvet takes photographs of. So with this combination in mind, she's able to use the copied weapons just as effectively as the owner of the weapon. So whomever owns the weapon, Velvet is able to actually use it exactly the way that they do. So that means that however much proficiency that person has with the weapon, and she's taken a photo of this, and then she makes the hard-like copy, considering that she's seen it due to her photographic memory, Velvet can perform with the hard-like copy just as well as the actual wielder of the weapon. So that means that if Velvet copies from someone that is a professional, if she actually copies a professional hunter while they're using their weapon, then she is actually going to be on the same skill level as that wielder of the weapon. So that is actually a pretty good thing to start with when it comes to Velvet. But Miles also pointed out in the Volume 3 Director's Commentary that Velvet herself is one of the first characters whose weapon is extremely complementary to her Semblance, which you can actually see that, considering she takes photos of them, and then she makes the hard-like copy, and it mimics the skill of the wielder. So it makes sense why this complements Velvet and her actual Semblance. So that's kind of, in a sense, like Adam, but it's very different because this is something that, if you think about it, a photo captures the image entirely. So then when you think about Velvet actually using the weapon, she captures it like a photo would. So Velvet actually uses the weapon to the skill level of the person who used it. So it's like a camera, and in a sense like a video camera, because it would capture whatever motion was caught on film. So it's essentially like that. That's actually really cool to think about. But at the same time, not only is Velvet good with her skills, but the capabilities of the weapons is what she's able to also perform. We did actually see this whenever she was actually able to make hard-light copies. She was able to actually shoot with Coco's weapon. She was actually able to also copy Weiss's weapon and use the dust, just like Weiss's Mirtnaster could too. So when you think about it, Velvet is able to copy them all the way down to the wire. And that is actually a really cool thing to be able to see. And this certainly does actually make Velvet be a threat, because these weapons that she copies, and who knows how many of them she's actually copied, because she can just have an unlimited amount. It's not like there's a set amount that we know of, unless they come out and just state, hey, look, we're going to give you an amount, and that's all you can go with. But this is just so good, because not only is this good for fights, but at the same time, if they need a weapon to get through something, an obstacle, this is actually good utility support. So she actually has good support in using these weapons as well. But there is one weakness to each of these hard-light copies that Velvet has, and that is, if Velvet gets hit so many times, the weapon disappears. And that is the problem with Velvet whenever it comes to using her semblance, is that it does have a limit, and it depends upon how many hits that Velvet takes. So there is a limit to these hard-light copies, and there is a limit to her semblance. But while there is a limit to this doesn't mean that Velvet is still not a threat on the battlefield, because each time she makes these copies, she does very well in herself, and that's actually a scary thing to think about, because she's able to utilize these not just from a standpoint of attack, but also from a supporting standpoint. So really, when it comes down to it, this semblance is actually a very good semblance in its own regard. And I have to give props to this, because they did make us wait till Volume 3 to see it, but in the end, it came out as a pretty decent semblance. So I would have to say that this semblance rank is tier 1. It is at an expert tier, because the reason why I put it here is that this semblance itself can copy the skill. So whenever Velvet looks at somebody and she's seeing them use their weapon, she captures the entire skill. If she actually copies out of a veteran hunter, then she is a dangerous threat. And while there is the drawback of only so many hits she can take before the hard-light copy fades, but then she can just rematerialize another one that she's seen. So really, this is a very powerful semblance in itself, and considering that she copies the skill as well as the abilities, like how Mirtnaster's Dust, for example, worked, yeah, this can actually be a very good utility, as well as it can be a good offensive semblance. So overall, I'd say that this is actually an expert tier level semblance, and it's a very good one at that. But anyways, let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Share this video with your friends if you found this informative or useful. And follow me on Discord. Link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.